Um, but just going down the autobiographical route a little more, you are a Hindu. Mm-hmm. That was a notable thing when you were first elected because no Hindu
there hadn't been one before,
right?
Yeah.
Now we have a couple.
Yeah. In Congress.
Ro Khanna.
Pramila Jayapal.
Right.
A few others.
Right. The media, to the extent that they have any interest in you at all, have put a sinister spin on your Hinduism in a way that I think most people would find rightly objectionable if it were applied to people of other religious backgrounds. So, for example, there's this notion that because you had an affiliation with the Hindu American Foundation, that means you're a Hindu nationalist, quote unquote. That seemed like a unjustified inference to me. And if I thought that you were a Hindu nationalist, I would say so because that's a notable thing, right? They're a real force. They're in power in India to a large degree. What's, do you think, driving that sinister spin on the way that your background has been portrayed?
It's religious bigotry. That is what it is. And we see people who try to make excuses for it or whatever. But if you look at where this is coming from, it is coming from people who are unfortunately trying to weaponize my religion for their own political purpose or end. We've got to call it out for what it is. With the Hindu American Foundation, for example, if you look at the work that they're doing, it's not only about making sure that Hindus are not discriminated against, but really they're strong advocates for religious freedom, both here in the United States and around the world, and are bringing voice to condemn religious bigotry and violence and persecution against people of all different religions, and not just Hindus.
And the Hindu American PAC, which isn't officially affiliated with the foundation, has supported non-Hindus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that mean for these people who are jumping to these kind of sinister conclusions?
I think this is the unfortunate thing once again, that this kind of religious bigotry is not called out for what it is by many of the leaders that we have in this country. They're very selective on when they choose to condemn bigotry and condemn discrimination. And again, usually that's motivated by politics, rather than recognizing, hey, if there's an attack on any one of us because of the way we worship or the color of our skin or who we love, it's important for all of us to take a stand strongly against that kind of bigotry and hatred and condemn it.
To what extent can you attribute it to the simple fact that Hinduism is a polytheistic religion? Most people in the U.S.
It's actually a monotheistic religion.
Well, yeah. Okay. So,
but I think to your point,
but the point is
Hinduism is vastly misunderstood,
right,
by a lot of people who don't know much about it, which is fine.
Right.
It's also a religion.
I should have said it's perceived as a polytheistic religion.
Right. Exactly. But it's one of the major religions of the world, practiced by many people, millions of people here in the United States, as well as people around the world, and really it's an opportunity for us in this country that celebrates freedom of religion to learn more about it, to learn more about people who practice this religion. But regardless of your level of understanding, to make sure that we are upholding and protecting this freedom that's enshrined in our Constitution, and once again, standing together with one voice to condemn religious bigotry. Again, we've got to point out those who are weaponizing religion as a political mechanism for them to gain whatever their objective is.
I think some of the suspicion arises from the fact or the reality that there are unfortunately these kind of ancient hostilities between Muslims and Hindus. And of course I'm generalizing, but there's a perception of that being a long-standing conflict. We see it now with the tensions between India and Pakistan. And then they look at the way that you've characterized some Muslim groups, and people say, whoa, she's being too flippant, calling people terrorists. Again, I'm just kind of relaying what people say.
I actually think it's a deeper issue than that. You are pointing out to some historic conflicts that exist. But from my experience, in the ways that I and my campaign have been targeted by these religious bigoted attacks.
By the way, The Intercept published a piece, I should mention, that really, I think, was shameful.
It was.
They ended up essentially retracting it.
Thanks to your pointing this out and actually raising a stink about it.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't formally retracted, but they removed one of the most incendiary bits, which was like basically just assuming that, what was it again?
Well, what they said they did was they investigated by hiring a quote-unquote expert.
Who was anonymous.
Who was anonymous.
And they never responded to my questions about why they gave that person anonymity without explanation. But anyway, go ahead.
They hired this person to go through my list of contributors and to seek out and point out any quote-unquote Hindu-sounding names.
Right. And, I mean, you don't even have to imagine if it had been Jewish-sounding names.
Exactly.
Islamic-sounding names. And that would have been denounced, and rightly so.
Exactly. And rightly so.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did this and at least initially they defended doing it.
And they left the piece up for like a month or something before I,
right.
made a stink about it.
Right. And then
it shouldn't have taken me making a stink on Twitter.
No.
And
then they deleted the line but didn't tell anybody that they
put a correction up, and then I had to like publicize the correction.
Yeah.
It was very
but again, when you look to why would they do this? Why when it would be unacceptable for anyone else or any other religion, why would they think that this was okay? And I think it speaks to the underlying objective that political opponents have, whether they be in the media or in politics or any other area, of trying to undermine my candidacy, of trying to distract away from the issues that I'm bringing to the forefront, specifically related to foreign policy, specifically related to ending regime change wars, working to end this new Cold War and nuclear arms race, instead of actually focusing on those issues and where they may agree or disagree or whatever. They are trying to undermine my candidacy and who I am by fomenting fears or suspicions or playing off of the fact that my religion is not vastly understood.
Yeah.
It's a minority religion, and that's I think we just got to be clear-eyed about their motives.
And The Intercept does a lot of great work.
They do,
as I think you agree. And not denouncing the entire publication because of that one mishap, and I've even contributed to The Intercept before. So just want to make that clear. But it was a pretty egregious thing, and I don't think that they really were nearly transparent enough in actually reckoning with what they did.